that was the beginning of having a personal relationship with God and a personal Savior. I'd never gotten that before, what that was.
Hey there, welcome to Conversations from Studio 5. I'm your host, Ephraim Graham. I hope that this is your destination for uplifting interviews in the worlds of lifestyle and entertainment. We want to connect every single week, popular culture and faith. And this week we're talking to actor Dennis Quaid. Now he's known for a long roster of films, including The Parent Trap, I Can Only Imagine, and On a Wing and a Prayer. Well, now Dennis Quaid is flexing his music muscle. He's got a new gospel album. It's called Fallen, a gospel record for sinners.
I went for a joyride down the devil's highway, my eternal soul hanging by a thread. I was determined that the world was going my way, wound up beside the road, left for dead.
So let's begin with, you've been at this now for a few decades, and here you are on the cover of People magazine again.
You hang around long enough, somebody notices.
How does it feel when you're walking around and seeing this in people's hands now?
It's back in the 80s. I had that moment where there was like magazine covers after magazine covers, but that 15 minutes of fame thing. So I try not to put too much stock in it, because those things come and go. But it's nice. It's nice to be recognized. It's nice to be able to tell your story, and because it's what I do for a living, and especially with this gospel record, it feels really nice to connect with people in that way.
So is this a story of faith, love, and second chances?
Yes, it is. Seems to be a theme in my life, and sometimes third and fourth and fifth.
I love it. So the album is called Fallen,
yes.
A gospel record for sinners.
Yes.
Fallen, a gospel record for sinners. What gives birth to this?
A gospel record for sinners because I guess I wanted to have the widest possible audience I could have.
Because we all.
That's me first with that. And, I just... so many of us, out there that feel disconnected. You get out of church, or maybe you never experienced it. They feel disconnected from their faith and that voice inside them, and that's okay. It's always accessible, and it's always there, no matter what you may have done, where you are in life. There's always a way back home.
Yeah, you grew up in the Baptist Church in Houston.
Yeah.
So since this is a return, if you will, what drew you back?
Well, my story is I grew up in the Baptist Church, First Baptist Church of Bel Air. That's where I was in Houston, Texas. That's where I was baptized. Wow. I was 9 years old, and we went to Sunday school, and I'd sit in the pews for the service, where you can't see everybody's head. And I love the songs that that we sang then, and so I chose hymns that I really loved growing up. One was my mother's favorite as well, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, and Just As I Am, which was Billy Graham's Invitational, which I didn't even know the words to until I started doing the song. But It's such a beautiful melody. It's such a vibe, a mood that just brings you in. And I think I started to get disillusioned with church. I at around 12, 13 years old.
Oh wow, that young.
It's teenage. Teenagers noticing the hypocrisy of the world and whatever, and and my parents divorced as well, and I started to look elsewhere. Of course, this is back in the '60s and '70s. I read a book called Siddhartha when I was 17, which was really the story of Buddha disguised in a novel. And the book really did touch me in a way, because it was a story of experiential, experiencing God inside yourself. And I was a seeker. I went, and to fill that hole that is left, that everybody has, and tries to fill with so many things, whether it be, it was with accomplishments, it was with sex or drugs or rock and roll or whatever it is, that I wanted to do it my way, I guess. And wound up getting involved with cocaine back in it became stronger and stronger in the 80s. And, it eventually, even though things looked fine on the outside, they weren't. And it was one night, I had a band back then, and we had a concert at the Palace Theater in Hollywood, and we got a record deal that night. And the band split up that night too, because of me. I was just a mess.
Wow.
And it built up or whatever. And I went home, and I had one of those white light experiences. I had spent so many nights screaming at God or begging God or whatever, just to get some sleep before the next day, or to take this away from me. And I just saw myself either dead in 5 years or in jail or losing everything that I had. And so I checked myself into rehab the next day. And that was before they had rehabs that had like room service and swimming pools, and massages daily and stuff like that. It was the basement of a hospital, and spent 28 days there. And I was lucky that I didn't go back to using, but I did spend. That was when the hard part really began, because that's when you have to address that hole that is still there, that doesn't get filled up. And that's when I read the Bible again, cover to cover.
Wow.
I'd read it when I was 19, but I read it cover to cover. I also read the Dhammapada, and I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I read the Quran. But what really struck me were the red words of Jesus. And that was the beginning of having a personal relationship with God and a personal Savior. I'd never gotten that before, what that was. My mother had told me, but I didn't really know. And I'm not saying it happened all at once. It's been a relationship that is definitely real, and that is growing, and has been silent sometimes and back and forth. That but it's sometimes stumbling on my part. But it's still there, and it's been the rock of my life, and it's the joy of my life.
Is that what's kept you away from the drugs for almost 30 years now?
Yeah, that's a long gone story. There's a lot of other things that come along with that too, and so it's not just about that. It's about life, and it's a spiritual journey, is what this record is.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And starting with "Fallen," which is the title track of the record, which is the prodigal son story. Went out, got his inheritance from a father, and went out and wasted everything, and came back, and his father still accepted him back. And that's really kind of my story. I really relate with that.
Your prodigal son.
Yeah, but it's from that into a self-examination of myself, and of my spiritual life, and walk through this world, and it ends with "On my way to heaven."
Yes.
And I'll fly away.
I love that.
Yeah.
And on my way to
I hope
heaven.
people can relate. That's all I'm trying to do.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. On My Way to Heaven, you actually did for a film.
I wrote that song for my mother, and I wrote it not too long after I got out of what I call cocaine school, just to let her know that I was okay, and that I was going to be all right. She was the rock of my life, and she passed about 4 years ago, before COVID happened, and but she's still there. In fact, there's another song in there, "Welcome Home," which is really, as a boy, what my mother told me heaven was going to be like.
Nice.
Because I had a lot of questions when I was a kid, and I'm sure that's exactly what you got.
No, it is beautiful. I've listened to it quite a few times.
Oh, thanks.
We are so familiar with your acting that many people will be surprised that singing is actually your first love, correct?
Yeah, I'd say so. Started playing guitar when I was 12. I was always kind of musically inclined stuff. Acting took over, but music was always there. It was I got a guitar at 12. My grandfather bought me a guitar at Western Auto. And,
Western Auto.
Yeah, of course. And along with the carburetor, I think. And I knew I was never going to shred a guitar, so songwriting was kind of my defense.
Nice.
For that. And songwriting is kind of an affliction. It takes over you and it won't let go. And it's a wonderful affliction.
It is beautiful. Why gospel music? Because I know you do country and rock. What made you say gospel is what I want to do now?
Well, like I said, I had written that song "On My Way to Heaven," and really that came from, I don't know where that came from. So I think I wrote it in about 15 minutes.
Wow.
It was 30 years ago, and then 30 years later, I'm doing
I Can Only Imagine.
I Can Only Imagine, and which is a story about a son who writes a song for a father. And producers, directors, the Irwin brothers, they said, well, I think we should put the song in here. That'd be great. They said, but, it kind of needs a bridge. So I went in my trailer and I wrote a bridge in 15 minutes. And so I like to say it took me 30 years and 15 minutes to write the song. And from that, I got approached by Gaither a couple of years later to do a record. And so why not? I had already written this song, Fallen. And so I chose those hymns that were really special to me for one reason or another. And then wrote several other songs while we were doing the record.
What's your favorite hymn of all the hymns you have on here? What is it?
That's a tough one. I mean, I love "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," especially the way it came out there. And "Just As I Am," I love, just because of the way it makes me feel. Makes me think of Billy Graham.
Yeah.
And he was the greatest.
Yeah.
He really was.
He was an amazing man. Can't let you go without talking about the film work that you've done and continue to do. You seem to be busier now than ever at 69, right?
That's because I still love it. I just really enjoy it. Probably because I'm not trying to get anywhere with it. I'm not, as far as words or, fame or money or whatever it is, I have the luxury of being doing things because I love it.
Nice.
And that's the best there is.
Nice.
God's been really great to me that way. My autobiography is going to be called "My Lucky Life," because That's what it is.
It's incredible. One film we're looking forward to coming out, I believe it's this month, is the sports drama The Hill. You play a pastor father. What's the deal? Why did you want to do that story?
Ricky Hill, who was a handicapped kid, had braces, and the guy could hit, and he has a very his father was a preacher. Never saw him play baseball, and he had a vision for his son that he was going to be a preacher. He felt like his son was called, but what a calling is for a preacher. You have to feel it yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's a father-son story, which I'm really attracted to doing. And he overcame a lot in life, and the two of them, wrestled. And that's, it has a great ending to it, though.
You do a great job in it. I'm looking forward to this one, and I've heard you say this was your most challenging role. You play Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Yes, well, yes.
I was hoping you'd give me the voice.
And that, a lot of people think that it's already come out, but because we did it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
But it is coming out next year. And there's a strike going on, so, I can't promote movies, but they don't have a date for it. So this is not a promotion, but the movie is going to come out. I'm really proud of it. And he was my favorite president. And the first one I really voted for, and so I had to overcome that to play him, because you want to get into who somebody was. And Reagan was, in a way, unknowable, even to those who were really close to him, I think. And I think Nancy was the two of them. She knew him better than anybody. And it's a love story. But it takes a story from Dixon, Illinois, as a boy, all the way to where he said goodbye to the American people in his letter after he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Incredible man.
Yeah. I've seen clips. You're doing an amazing job. If I could, I want to take a look back. Just give me your first reaction to 3 films from your career that I want to hear about. First one, The Right Stuff.
My favorite movie I ever did. I base my movies on the time that I had while I was making them, rather than how they did at the box office, because that was just a joyful time. I grew up in Houston, which was Space City at the time. They wheeled in the TV and Alan Shepard going into space, and Gordo Cooper was my favorite astronaut as a kid because he was the youngest. He was the rock and roll astronaut. Then this book comes out, and I said, if they ever do a movie, I want to play Gordo Cooper. Then they're doing a movie, and then I go in and I get the part. And I couldn't believe that. And then turns out that Gordo Cooper lived 3 miles from me in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And so we met and became good friends, and he turned me on to a flight instructor. I got my pilot's license, and Chuck Yeager was on the set every day, and it was a dream.
Wow.
Never wanted it to end. So that was my favorite as far as just the time that we had.
Nice. Next one's Parent Trap.
Parent Trap. Thank God for Parent Trap. Because it's like after I got all cleaned up in cocaine school and stuff, and you think things are going to get better, Now you're doing the right things. No, they get worse. It got really hard to get a job for a while.
Oh, wow.
Well, I waited for a year because I wanted to take care of myself, and then waited another year after that, and so they forget very quick. And so it was finding parts and stuff like that, but became a little bit of a struggle, relatively, and. But I got offered Parent Trap, and it was now I'm playing dads, so that was the first thing to playing dads, and it's such a great story.
Yeah.
It really is, and parents I tell all those kids that are grown up now that I was your babysitter because your parents would put in that VHS and go do what they wanted to do. Well, you watched it 40 times in a row.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. Great Balls of Fire.
Great Balls of Fire. Well, Jerry Lee Lewis, he was one of my piano teachers. I didn't play piano.
Wow.
I played guitar, but I had a year to prepare for that, playing piano, and Jerry Lee was one of my teachers. He's very generous. He was also over my shoulder during the whole time they were making the movie going, "You're getting it wrong, son."
The pressure.
Yeah. But what an experience. Mm-hmm. It was wild and crazy, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. Mm. And it was something, and it still lives. The movie lives on.
I want to talk about the loves of your lives, especially going back to 2007. You get twin sons and you nearly lose them.
Yeah, in the first 12 days, they had a staph infection that I probably got at birth, and developed over 12 days, and took him into the pediatrician, and he said, take him to the hospital, and we took him to the hospital, and they were going to have 2-week round of antibiotics intravenous, and to keep the needle from coagulating, the blood from coagulating around the site, they used heparin there, which is a blood thinner, and they were supposed to get 5 units. They got 10,000 units of it instead of an adult dose. It's because the child bottle was light blue and the adult bottle was dark blue, and they got it mixed up, and the entire pediatric ward had gotten the same thing, in fact, but they were the youngest. It's one thing if you're 16, it's another if you're 12 days old. Yeah. And it turned their blood to the consistency of water, and which brought up a danger of a hemorrhage either in the brain or vital organ. They were lucky that they couldn't thrash around, which would have made more danger of a hemorrhage, but there was blood coming out of every place where they had the umbilical cords.
Wow.
It was, and their blood was off the measurable scale as far as coagulation for 48 hours, which is a long time. Wow. And I really do believe, it became a story that went out worldwide just like that. And I really do believe it was the power of prayer that really saved the kids.
Wow.
It really did. And because of what they went through, they wound up saving a lot of other kids later, because they changed the bottles, and they really they went back to saline solution. Yeah. Hospital really stepped up as far as patient safety in other ways as well. So.
And both are doing amazing now.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're doing. Sometimes they're doing a little too well. They got me. They really they run circles around me.
And you're a bit of a newlywed at this phase in life?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
What's it like to have love at this stage?
It's wonderful. So I was not looking for it at all, and I don't know why God saved the love of my life for this time, but He did. And Laura and I just have the most beautiful relationship. And it's also the first time that I feel like God is really in the relationship.
Wow.
He's part of the fabric. He was there at the ceremony, and it's like really kind of understand what that is. I think a lot of us, we look to the other person to either fix us or to do those things that we can't do ourselves, and that's not their job. That's God's job. He wants us to give all that stuff to Him.
Yeah.
And that's just makes it makes for a beautiful marriage.
Love that. And you guys call Nashville home.
Yeah, love it here. It's very collegial here. It really is. And, growing up in Houston, Texas, I feel very at home. In fact, my grandfather, in 1903, he was 3 years old. Went to Texas in a covered wagon from about 30 miles from here. So it's a little easier these days. So I have a lot of cousins here, and it just really feels like home.
Like home. My last question for you. What's Dennis Quaid most grateful for now?
I'm still grateful to just be here. I really am. I'm just so grateful for for the joy in life, and just I've undeservedly said so many times that I've had such a wonderful life, and I really thank God for that, for giving me the 6th and 7th chance.
We all need that.
Yeah.
We all need it. Thank you so much. It was a joy to talk to you.
You too.
Thank you.
My life may not be roses, but still I'm gonna be alright.
Dennis Quaid's gospel album is available right now wherever you stream, purchase, or download your music, and his film, The Hill, is available on streaming platforms. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's edition of Conversations from Studio 5. I certainly pray and hope you'll come back with us next week. Next week, we are sitting down with pastor and best-selling author Michael Todd. We're going to talk about his new book, Damaged But Not Destroyed. I had the pleasure of traveling to Tulsa, Oklahoma, just as he released and began a new sermon series with the same title. For more information on this show, please be sure to check out our Facebook page, and you can find us on Instagram by searching Studio 5 TV. Thanks for joining us right here on the podcast.